We're back today at Miller Motor Cars with another beautiful Aston Martin, this time the 2005 Vanquish S. You probably recognize this car from one of the 007 films, in fact, which made this car famous, which was 2002's Die Another Day, starring Pierce Brosnan as 007. Except in the film, that car was painted in tungsten silver. This is featured here today in Stronce silver. The car you know is a traditional Vanquish, of which 1,487 were made. This here is a Vanquish S, produced from 2005 to 2007, also marking the end of production at Aston Martin's Newport Pagnell factory. Some minor changes were made from the S over the original model, most notably the horsepower bump from 460 to 520. On the exterior, small changes were made. You'll notice a larger and revised front grille, a new front splitter, and on the rear of the car, a splitter and spoiler on the rear trunk. Construction of the Vanquish was revolutionary for this time period. The chassis is built from a combination of extruded aluminum and carbon fiber, with further carbon and composite used to finish off the very rigid shell. During this time period, Aston Martin was owned by Ford Motor Company. Utilizing their massive resources and intellect, they also partnered with NASA to develop specific crumple zones in the rear and front of the car, which had never before been seen on an automobile. The body of the Vanquish is finished in superformed aluminum, which maintains that hand-built and hand-finished touch Aston Martin is known for. The styling of the Vanquish S is largely similar to the standard Vanquish. You'll notice a different and larger wheel set with a more pronounced rear duct lip, helping the Vanquish S attain a top speed in excess of 200 miles per hour. At the time, that was a major accomplishment for a Grand Tourer and set the benchmark in the industry. The interior of the Vanquish S is not much different than that of the Vanquish. The biggest change being the use of more leather, most notably on the upper dash and the interior center console. This interior happens to be a little bit more special due to the Aston Martin Works configured manual gearbox. Every Aston Martin Vanquish from this period came with an electro-hydraulically actuated 6-speed manual, which to some was fantastic, to others not so much. Aston Martin Works maintains the original gearbox in the car, adds a third pedal, a few extra slave cylinders, and the proper 6-speed shifter. Other features of the Vanquish S interior include the leather-wrapped bucket seats, brushed aluminum finishes, paint-matched steering wheel, and the ornamental instrument cluster. Power for the V12 Vanquish S comes from a naturally aspirated 6-liter V12 engine, which was first featured in a production car in Aston Martin's DB7. Anytime you have a chance to drive a Vanquish is a very special opportunity, even more so in a Vanquish S, being that less than 200 made it to the North American market. And I don't know how many manuals were made, or converted that is, so this is pretty special. Driving the standard gearbox is actually quite romantic, as you actuate the gears as you would a normal manual. You lift your foot off the gas when you upshift, you re-engage when you shift gears. But this car is something special when the valves open. I mean, this V12 absolutely sings. And again, the manual feels very natural, like the car should have come this way from the factory. And I don't feel like I'm in a 20-year-old car. It feels just like any other analog experience. Proper. Now that I've learned this gearbox a little bit better, I'm trying really hard to keep it over 4,000 RPM because that's where this car sings. And yeah, it's got a lot of low-end torque, but the more you give it, the more it responds. Can you hear that? I mean, man, what a smile it puts on my face. Yeah, it's a heavy car, about 4,100 pounds to be exact, but it has no problem hugging the road, and it's really stable. I mean, a solid chassis like this, it feels grounded, it feels confidence-inspiring. I have no problem pushing it in these corners. The clutch pedal has a great feedback. I have no problem getting in any gear, first through sixth. Rev matching is a breeze, and that's more down to the throttle response. But this is a proper analog experience, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad you were able to join me today to review the Vanquish S, a car that will always be remembered fondly in both Aston Martin and 007 history. For more information on this particular vehicle, feel free to contact me, Justin Ashworth, at Aston Martin of Greenwich. I'll see you in the next one.